Continuing with Project Red Star, we're going to take a look today at the Primochill line of water cooling products and why you should absolutely consider them for your next custom PC build. I'm TheGrayingTech. Stay tuned. Starting off, I simply want to talk about the variety of colors that you can get from Primochill. Now, if you are considering painting a radiator or customizing some of your own parts, this could be a way to shortcut that entire process and get an absolutely gorgeous finish. So starting off, this here is my color template. This is a royal red from Rustoleum. This is what I painted Project Red Star's external cases with. This is what I have painted my Lian Li. Oops, you haven't seen that yet. My Lian Li fans. And this is the color that basically I'm going to go with throughout the rest of the build. Now you can see the red, this is a candy red from Primochill, actually matches that hue extremely well. And that's exactly what you get from the Eximo SX from Primochill entire line. They have numerous colors, they have numerous types of products that are available in those variety of colors, and the quality of the coloring is extremely good. Now, to be honest, I don't know if this is anodized or if it's actually painted on. Given the texture of the metal, I'm going to hypothesize that this is an anodized product, but it could be painted. So as you can see, I have a variety of different products here, all in the same category of a candy red. They have fittings, they have GPU stands, they have rads, and this is my reservoir bracket and pump assembly even. You can see that there's brackets for attaching to the case. There is collars on the top and bottom of my reservoir tube here that all match the same anodized candy red look. The only one drawback that I would say for the entire line, anytime that you have a knurled finish, like here on the top of these caps and even on the sides of the screw caps for the fitting areas, you're going to get a slight silverish tone to the coloring. Now, Primochill actually says that it's going to be darker. In my case, it actually came out more silver looking and therefore actually a little bit lighter. But if you recall the overall theme of the build, it is a red and a white predominant with black and silver accents. So the gnarled look actually fits in extremely well with what I'm going for on my case. I can't really fault Primochill for that. That's simply optics. And the fact that they do have a gnarled finish on here means it's actually a lot easier to grab a hold of these caps. So you could have it one way, you could have it the other. You're going to have drawbacks no matter what. If you're looking at this line, I highly recommend taking a look at some of these candied finishes. And I'll spin it around here. You can see the valve that I went with is actually the sky white version. And this final cap is sky white as well. That helps, at least in my opinion, blend a little bit better in the case. This I want somewhat hidden because nobody really wants to see the valves that you're using to drain your loop. So ultimately, I really think that the coloring that you're going to get from Primochill is going to exceed what you're going to be capable of doing on your own, which is the first reason to give them a look. The second reason, at least in my opinion, they ship Sour Patch Kids with every order. I kid you not, the second I opened the package, there was a nice bundling of Sour Patch Kids, the larger sizes that are actually kind of hard to find sometimes. You know, it's just a little thing like that that's a nice little pleasant surprise, and given a company is doing that sort of thing, I think is really awesome. So that's the number 2 reason. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the radiators themselves. This is the slim version. It packs in a FPI, fins per inch of 20, and 14 heat transfer tubes into something that is a 30 millimeter width. And this is the 360 version, meaning it can support up to 3 120 fans as well. What is really awesome about this entire product line is you are getting multiple sizes and multiple options. This is the slightly larger version. This is the Ultra, coming in at 40 millimeters thick. So you can go upwards, I believe, to 60 millimeters thick for this. In Project Red Star, I'm actually going to be putting the thicker rad on the bottom, the thinner rad on the top. Now, with any radiator that you get, it is highly recommended that you flush and clean out the inside of the radiator before you really put it into a system for permanent use. There's a couple different ways to do this, and Primochill actually has two methods, and I'm going to talk about the first one here, which is simply the radiator clean. Now, they sell this individually and they sell this as a package deal. I actually have the package deal and I have the individual bottle, at least right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to dilute this in distilled or ionized water. You're going to fill the reservoir itself and you're going to cap it off. And then you're going to vigorously shake just to make sure that anything that's inside is going to be contacted by the RadClean solution. Give that about an hour, level on the floor, and then empty the contents down the disposal, I guess? It's supposed to be biodegradable. It's not supposed to harm the environment. So I hope down into the sewer system it can go without destroying my plumbing and without destroying my municipal water supply. The other thing that you could do is assemble the entire setup and then flush your system with a SysPrep, which I'm actually going to talk about next. The last thing I want to talk about with these radiators is the little logo is not attached to begin with. This right here is attention to detail that you don't always see with a lot of companies. What that allows me to do is position my radiator exactly the way that I want it in my case, and then I can put the logo properly, nice and flush, exactly where it belongs, nice and level. Again, that's an attention to detail that you don't always get and something I really appreciate when I am looking for quality products like these. So those are the radiators that are going to be going into Project Red Star. Hopefully that gives you a good understanding, at least, of what Primochill is bringing to the market here. If you need more information about why fin density or the number of transfer tubes is important, I'll put a link up to that as well. All right, let's talk about tubing. This is PETG tubing. This is slightly softer than acrylic, meaning it's cut in a different way. It is easier to use in theory, but it is a bit more prone to scratches and kind of debris and cloudiness that can occur if you don't handle it properly. The reason I went with PETG is that is what is designed to fit very well with the fittings, as well as the colors that you can get for this particular product from Primochill. Again, going on the theme of a colored system, being able to use pre-colored items just makes it that much more simpler for the average water cooler and somebody who's looking to do some case mods. So the color I went, and this might be slightly controversial, but I went with white. So because the main color in my case is white, I wanted the accent pieces to be more of the red, just like the front of the case with the red stripe. So my tubing is going to be white as well. So all of the cons about this being potentially more scratchable and things of that nature kind of go out the window, so much as you don't scratch the external finish too badly. PETG is really easy to cut. That is what makes it so kind of user-friendly, where you basically can get a tool like this. These are available pretty much at any hardware store. You put the pipe in where you want to cut it and then push down on the clamp, and it will cut the actual pipe itself. Very useful, but let's say that you are off by just a few millimeters. And in water cooling terms, that can make a difference between having a good seal and a leak. Or if you just want to finish the end of the tube, which you should do with all of your tubing, this right here is another product from Primochill. This is a deburrer, and essentially it routes out the inside and outside of the tube, giving you a smoother finish and can shrink down the overall length of the pipe based upon how much you are using the deburring tool. So really awesome thing from Primochill, and this is designed to fit numerous internal and external diameters of the pipe that you get. There's different bits for the different size of the pipe. The last item I want to note here, PETG is considered easier material to use. It is also considered somewhat the beginner version of water cooling. And it has a bad stigma, I think, simply because it's not as complex as acrylic. Acrylic is glass, just about. It behaves and acts more like glass than it does like a traditional plastic, even though it is a plastic material. So if I were to use my cutters on a piece of acrylic, it would simply shatter and explode all over the place. So you have to cut acrylic in certain ways with certain tools. You have to use different deburrs. Even the way that you bend the pipe is different, right? So I would use basically a heat gun, stand that up here, heat up all of the edges, heat up a good amount of the surface, and then start my bend, probably trying to use a jig. With acrylic, that process is roughly the same, but you do have to be very careful because the melting temperatures are different. The point in which it's going to start bubbling or the point in which it's going to start bowing is all going to be different as well. Now, if you are bending tubes, and this is my last point here on the tubes, you definitely want to put a material inside the tube to help you bend. Primochill does have you covered there as well. And what that does is it prevents the internal from collapsing upon itself, giving you a compressed bend, which basically is going to reduce flow, it's going to reduce performance, and is just not going to look as well. So there you have it. That is the type of piping I will be using in Project Red Star. Have you ever started doing something and then think that you're finished and then have to come back and do it again? That's this right here. When I first recorded this, I forgot to do probably one of the most important parts, which is turn on the sound. So here we are again with the chemicals that you can get from Primochill. And we're going to start with lube. Tube lube. Everybody needs a little bit of lube in their life. Okay, no more jokes. Okay. So what the tube lube is supposed to do is help lubricate when you are trying to insert the tubes into the fittings themselves. This prevents you from ripping the O-rings. This makes the entire process a little bit easier. Plus, if you do the inserts for inside the tubes, this can help with insertion and extraction of those inserts that help prevent the inside from buckling and bowing under the pressure of bending. Tube lube. This right here is the SysPrep kit. Now this includes the Radiator Clean, which we saw previously. It includes PrimoPrep and SysPrep. So what is PrimoPrep? PrimoPrep is what Primochill uses with its View line. If you're interested in pastels or colorants or things that are slightly cloudy, View is exactly the line that you would be looking at. And this product right here is designed to help stabilize the internal mechanisms that could interfere with that product. Now, the View line is designed to only run 8 hours a day, and ideally you should replace it every 4 to 6 months, is what Primochill says. Now, if you really love the way that these things look, this right here is what is designed to give you better performance overall. This helps keep your blocks clean. It helps keep your fittings clean, tubes clean, all of that, and prevents basically the particles that are inside the liquid coolant from sticking to the inner components of your loop. Very important to use if you are going with those kind of colorants. Next up, we have SysPrep right here. This is what's going to help clean your loop after you've done RadClean, after you've used soap and water to help clean out the loop. Taking apart your blocks, taking apart the fittings, giving everything a good soap bath, lightly cleaning all of the parts, and then letting them dry or drying them and reassembling them. Why that's important? That helps remove dust from the system, and that helps increase the lifespan of your loop itself. This is also going to help do that as well. SysPrep is going to be a flush for your system before you put in your final coolant. So this right here, you're going to use distilled water or deionized water, put this in, filter it through the system for 24 to 48 hours, not for a long period of time. This isn't designed to be a long-term coolant. Flush the system, drain it all out, and then do the final steps, which is liquid Utopia and a big old bottle of deionized water, in my case at least. Now you can use deionized water, you can use distilled water. There's a couple differences of what those are. This right here is from Primochill's line. This is their deionized water kit. Basically, you're going to take about half a bottle here, pour it in here, and then start pouring it into your loop. So one of these paired up with one of these guys should give you 2 flushes through your system and a 2, maybe 3-year lifespan of your entire loop with only having to flush it maybe once. And hopefully you won't have to clean it a second time if you do the prep right. Last 2 items for this video. First up, we have Primochill's Revolver SX fittings. No, that's not the Xbox Series S and X. That is the name of their Revolver fitting. This is a candy red, and I've talked about that color numerous times throughout this video. They are 3 1/8 and 1/2 inch in terms of inner and outer diameters. This is also a 12-pack. You can get them individually. One of the cool things about these fittings, they have an entire line. You can see this is the 90-degree elbow bend, and these fittings simply screw onto the elbow itself. There's a compression gasket right here, and as you tighten it down, that gasket will create the seal. You put the tube basically through the outer ring, into the inner ring, inside of yet another clamp, O-ring clamp, and then you tighten down. Most important thing here, you don't have to wrench this thing down. If you're gritting, if you are struggling, if you're really turning white knuckle, you're doing it too hard. You are probably going to bend the pipe, you're probably going to destroy the O-ring, you're going to end up causing a leak. You want it to be finger tight, and then you want to just give it a little bit more of a twist, and that helps make sure that everything is gripping properly. If you're really ever in doubt, pull the tube. And that can give you a good indication of how good of a seal that you've got. Now, you probably might break that seal by doing that, and you might have to restart the process, but then you know at least the amount of force that you need to be applying. Now, there's a whole series of these kinds of fittings that are available from Primochill. You can get ones that are designed to connect directly to a block with the open female end. You can get ones that do 90 degrees, 180, 45s, dual 90s, dual 45s. They make a lot of different couplers and a lot of different fittings, each specifically designed for your needs and in the colors that can match the rest of the components. Speaking of the rest of the components, let's take a look at what you get when you get the pack of 12. You get additional O-rings and you get an extractor and installation tool. So I used this to basically put one of these rings on because it fell off. You can also use this to help get underneath some of these rings and pull them off. And it has Primochill's logo on it. I think that's kind of cool. The last thing I want to take a look at is my pump. I've already talked about the brackets that I have on the back. This is an additional purchase that you can get for Primochill in the particular colors that you are looking for. Now, this is a 360 millimeter tube assembly. When you buy the assembly, you can also get the pump that goes with it. Starting off here on the bottom, you can see I have the valve that is connected to the inlet side of the bottom of the pump. What I think is probably the absolute coolest feature of this reservoir is the way I could just unscrew it. That allows me to adjust the bracket in the position I want. That allows me to essentially take this apart with relative ease. I can clean this easier. Just like I mentioned in the last step, you will need to clean this as well. And if I ever need to do any additional maintenance on it, I can quickly disassemble it and basically get my stuff back up and running without a lot of fanfare. This has, as I mentioned, the inlet down here, outlet right here. So this is the part where the pump is going to drive water throughout the rest of the loop. And then on the top here, you can see you have 3 different choices for where you have another inlet. You have the top here that I'm actually going to be using to allow air in and out of the system. I also am planning on having my intake on this side, and that's going to flow into the assembly and down into it. Now, one of the things that you might run into from a lot of these vertical style reservoirs is the Venturi effect. And that's something that we're probably all familiar with, where water, when it is flushing down a smaller diameter hole, has a tendency of doing a little tornado. This right here, with Primochill's logo on it, of course, is going to help break up that effect inside your tube. That's going to give you, in theory, better flow and most certainly less noise coming from your system. You can remove this. This is simply torxed in there. You can remove those and put in a different one, put in something of your own choosing. I might do a Helix. I'm not quite sure right now. I'm sticking with the Primochill itself. So there you have it. There is the pump and the fittings. Primochill is an awesome US-based company. They have been very nice to work with. All of my orders have arrived on time. I've gotten great tracking information. I'm very happy to have been a customer of theirs for Project Red Star. Thank you very much. If you've enjoyed this content, please consider liking and subscribing. Tune in for more Project Red Star. I'm hoping to have it concluded sometime in the December-ish time period. Gotta wait for some GPUs to come out, gotta wait for some CPUs to come out, but hopefully we'll get everything done and all the videos posted in that time period. I'm TheGrayingTech. Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.